Hey, it's Andy Webb for the Free Country Free Ride on 99.9 WFRE. With me today is Christine Castle. Right, we had to go over that because you're like a Queen's Castle, as we talked about. And you are with Haverfield Aviation, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Now, when I hear aviation, I think of things up in the sky, planes, helicopters, and you work with at least one of those at what you do, right?
That's right. We are a helicopter contractor that works for the electric utility industry. We have the largest civilian fleet of aircraft in the country.
Now, when you say civilian fleet, what does that mean?
It means non-military.
Non-military.
Right.
So
we're a private contractor, or privately owned aircraft.
Okay. And so when you have a civilian fleet, what do you do with those? Because when I think of a helicopter these days, I think of Ocean City and airplanes,
Right.
or the sky riders and the tours that you take. But that's
Right.
not exactly what you do.
That's right. So we are a contractor to the electric utility industry. And what that means is those big towers that you see
Mhm.
they look like erector sets,
Mhm.
the big steel towers. We take care of those. And the
Oh.
conductor, which is the lines that run from tower to tower. We have linemen that ride in the aircraft on a platform that's connected to the side of the aircraft. And we inspect, maintain, and construct electric utility lines.
So
it's the big stuff.
the helicopters are a part of it.
That's
But
right.
what you actually do extends so far beyond that.
That's right. Think of it as a flying bucket truck.
Oh, and see, I love bucket trucks. My
Right.
grandfather was a telephone lineman,
Right.
and so I got to go up in bucket trucks. So yeah, I like the idea of a flying bucket truck.
Right.
Sounds very Jetsonish.
Yes.
But as far as what you do, you talked about the types of things you do. I mean, there's people that work with like tree work and then construction work and
Right.
inspection. I mean, there's so many different facets.
That's
and
right.
you yourself, what is your title?
So I am Chief Administrative Officer, which is a very fancy title for saying I take care of all the people and oversight of the money.
Gotcha.
So
So you're not in the helicopter. You're not working on the lineman.
No.
Gotcha. So, but that to me, it speaks to the broader point of there are so many different aspects to what your company does.
We have everything. We have trades, so we have mechanics, we have linemen, we have pilots. We have executive team, which is myself, the president, and then we have a slew of administrative support. So we've got project managers, we've got a full accounting team, we have people in payroll, we have a sales and contracting team, so 185 employees.
Wow.
We started with 3. I started there, 22 years ago.
No. Yeah, but
So-
sure, it feels like yesterday.
It does. Yeah, it does sometimes. And we grew from 3 people to 185.
That means you're doing something right.
That's right.
But I am curious as to like where you came up from. Like we've spoken to other people who they start at the very bottom and they work their way to the top. You know, they're doing physical labor and then they end up in an office. That doesn't seem like something you did. How did you get to where you are? Was it education oriented?
So actually, I started with my associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree
Mhm.
you can get at community college. And I was kind of the jack of all trades. I answered the phones, I did the payroll, I did the accounting, I did some of the sales and contracting. I actually went out and visited customers.
You hustled.
So I did. So when, in the very beginning, when there was only 3 of us, I handled everything that was not operations, basically. And we had 2 other pilots that were out doing work.
And grew from there.
And we grew from there. And at some point, probably about 7 to 10 years into it, I realized that I was dealing with accountants and attorneys and people that were in the professional trades,
Mhm.
right? And I had my associate's degree and I could talk the talk, but I needed that credential behind
Right.
my name. So I went back to school. My company has a education tuition assistance program, and I got my bachelor's degree and loved it. I was able to put the schooling to the real world
Mhm.
of growing this business. And once I got my bachelor's degree, I took about a year off, and then I went back and got my master's degree, so my MBA.
Wow.
Did both of those through Mount St. Mary's.
Mhm.
At the time, it was all what we call brick and mortar,
Sure.
so I had to sit in the classroom.
No virtual stuff.
Right. Today, there's many, many, many more options, especially with the current
Yeah,
situation.
right, right.
College is locked down. So, yeah, it was great. Great experience and learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot about people and running the business. I've transitioned more out of the day-to-day operations as far as like the accounting and the HR and things like that, and I mostly deal with managers and essentially processes. So we've matured as a company, we've kind of got all the pieces and parts in place, but we have to learn how to grow and how to make things efficient.
Right.
So that's the bulk of my job now,
So
2 years later.
People that want to do what you do, or do any of the other parts, those facets, I would guess that there are many different paths to get to that. Like we talked about, education and hustling got you where you are. But if someone say they wanted to be one of the helicopter pilots, what are the types of things that they would need to get into that career path?
So for what I'm going to call the trades, right? So mechanics, linemen, pilots. There's actually trade schools out there that you can go through. Actually, to be a lineman, you can find a trade school. It's like a 13 to maybe an 18-week course where you can become an apprentice journeyman lineman.
Wow.
And that
is no time at all, really.
It really isn't, and it's not that expensive. And it is a hot career right now.
Yeah. What is the pay like? Let's ask the brass tacks question.
They probably start at the very low end for an apprentice lineman. You're making roughly $250 to $300 a day, and because we're a contractor, you get paid when you work.
Right.
So the average is 240 days a year. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less.
I should have learned math in school. I could do that right off the top of my head.
Yeah,
But that still sounds like really good for beginning.
So we're talking, $45,000 to $60,000 up
to start for the apprentice, and then you just go up from there.
That's right. And a journeyman lineman who's got 2 to 3 years experience under their belt is right in that sweet spot. So they're heavily recruited right now. It is a fantastic trade to get into.
And apart from the trade side, if somebody wanted to become, say, a helicopter pilot and work for you guys, does it need to be a military background, or does it need to be civilian trained?
A lot of our men do come. We have all male pilots right now. I'm always recruiting for a female.
Okay, so we're looking for female pilots.
If there's anybody out there that wants that's
blaze the trail
to do that, call me. Right. So to get in as a pilot, it's a little more difficult. We require about 1,500 hours. So pilots log their time. Right.
It takes time.
And it takes time. So what we do is fairly dangerous. It's somewhat risky.
Sure.
So you have to have people that are pretty seasoned.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. So that takes a little bit longer time. So depending on what your own personal timeline is, but if they wanted to work with you guys and do what you do, how could they reach out and say, "Hey, I would love to do what it takes to get into your company"? How would you recommend them getting a hold of them?
So www.haverfield.com, and there's a careers page, and they are welcome to log on to that and fill out the little form and respond, and somebody from HR can reach out to them.
Now, and one last thing, I wanted to ask this just because I saw it on the website. Your slogan, your company slogan, do you know what that is right off the top of your head?
Yes.
What does it say?
It's called, it's Latin.
Right.
Perfuncta vigore, and it means energized performance.
I love that. I thought it just sounds like really rigorous on-timeness, and that was not what it was. So I love the slogan. I love the brass wings. Check out their website and check out Haverfield Aviation. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing some female pilots and even more technicians and folks making and growing that company even higher.
Right, and it's a great trade. Any one of those, mechanics, linemen, pilots, lots of opportunity there.
I'll talk to you about getting an application here.
Okay, all right, thank you.